It's really a good scene setter. I like it. There's two reasons to like it. It's a very good track to Mike Perry Motorsport Park, but it's motorcycle in Canterbury, you know, and organised. David Hall again, get that good start. Last time it was Avalon Middle, but she'll have to follow the leader as she moves right out there to the right-hand side of the track. And trying to get the advantage going out wide that Seth was talking about before, but I tell you what, the gap opened up for David Hall, and he has taken that. And no, in fact, there we go, already the Underground Brown team moving in there. Gone straight into it at the moment, James Hoogie. So James Hugenboos him up there at the moment. Oh, in fact, I'm looking for the, no, it might be, hold on, it might be Jake Lewis. I'm looking for the lighter leathers. No, it is James. It is James, definitely. The lighter leathers are back there with Jake in third place at the moment, courtesy of Stadium Finance and 360 Logistics. Lovely to have quality teams on board supporting these top riders. And there already is a top group. Look at that for 7 riders, just breaking clear of that next group as we look out for our 600s to start. So Fabo to see, Underground Brown and the Canterbury contingent up there with 2 of those top placings. Let's add Avalon. Can we call her a local? Canterbury yet, Seth? Do you think she's been here? Oh, hello.
Someone's down, and it's a bright yellow bike. A bit hard to see from here. Yeah, John Crawford on the G6R600.
Yeah, it might be. It's his kind of colour scheme, He looks like he's okay. He'll be trying to get the bike up, and we'll have over there now. That's why you have the support medic vehicle going around for that first lap, so they'll have an opportunity to see that and make sure that everything is okay. So we'll look out for that one. Back to the racing at the moment. Doesn't look to be too serious. In fact, yes, he has got back on his bike, and the medic team go flying past here, so that will give them the all clear to know that it is safe to there. And bad luck to John Crawford to miss out on that one. We were just about to talk to Seth before about calling Avalon a local yet. Has she been here long enough, a month?
I don't know. I think South Island's funny like that. You'll never really be a local if you're from Auckland. But I'll tell you something, that right-hander that John crashed at, very easy to get it wrong. There's a little bump on the apex there. And if you get it wrong, you just be a little bit too late on the brakes over the bump, and it'll catch you out, and you end up right where John is. And I think he might have to move it quickly because we're going to have some bikes coming, maybe a little winded. But I've sat over by that power pylon, I think one time too many. It's not very fun sitting out there watching everybody go around thinking what an idiot you just were because you knew the bump was there and you still made a mistake.
Out on fire is Toby Summers going into turn 1. He dropped his foot off the footbag, went round the outside of Avalon Middle. He's now in 4th place. He's going to hunt down David Hall. And of course, we've been referring to the team Underground Brown, the Triumphs. The correct story there is, yes, Underground Brown, Vicky and Tony Brown have done a lot of work to...
Hey, Spider, just quickly, is your mic turned on? Because I can't hear you through the... I can't.
No, that's red means off. There you go. Now you're on, Spider. Try on. Green's on, mate.
All right, folks.
Oh, there we go.
The microphone was not on. Toby Summers, turn 1, put his foot down there, went round the outside of Avalon Middle. Now he's on the tail of David Hall. And then, of course, he's got the 2 bikes in the front, the Triumphs. We've been referring to them as the Underground Brown team this weekend. That is not actually correct. Vicky and Tony Brown from Underground Brown certainly put a lot of effort and financial resources in it. But Dennis, they are the budget motorcycles team. Dennis Charlotte does all the engineering and the preparation work on the bike, and the 2 individual riders, James Hugenboos on 85 and Jake Lewis on number 29, go off and find their own individual sponsors. So Underground Brown, a strong part of this team, but the strongest is the budget motorcycles. And what results they get in this weekend as we see James Hugenboos go through in the lead, followed by Jake Lewis, then David Hall, Toby Summers, Avalon Biddle, Rogan Chandler, Ashton Hughes. In fact, Rogan Chandler's gone ahead of Avalon Biddle. Ashton Hughes goes through there, and it is, I think, Jacob Stroud on the number 10 bike in 8th place, getting better results as the weekend goes on. He gets grips with this bike. I was down at Levels a month ago, and his father, Andrew, was doing some laps on this bike so he could know exactly what his lad was riding on the track. Great pit crew for that team as well, including Radar Dave Cullen from Australia, who's been all the way to the GP level, and he flies into us from Australia for the Suzuki Series and for the New Zealand Superbike Championships just to support him. And Rod Price, of course, the team owner, absolutely fantastic. Also, I think I see Gary Goodfellow's van here from Shuzi, all part of that team and the financial and the physical support. Look at that Avalon Biddle being hounded still, I think, by, who is that? That'll be Rogan Chandler. And then Ashton Hughes is still on this tail. He comes on strong early in the race and just seems to drop off. Will this change?
Toby around the outside into the dipper. Can he make it still? Oh, wow. I've never seen someone make that move stick, but if anyone can do it, it would be Toby Summers.
Yeah, he's pretty sick kind of puppy when it comes to that kind of racing. So great to see as he picks up the race pace and going forward here again at the moment. moment. So good to watch indeed as the race progresses. But it is indeed Underground Brown and Budget Motorcycle Spares and the Triumph 675 showing their class out in front as we go racing. There's the 85-29 to get through there. 34 with David Hall, and here comes Toby Summers on attack. 22 courtesy of Carl Cox Motorsport, R&R Power Sport, Super Finishing Limited, Mad Love Media, Beta Tools, Spectrum Motorcycles and Pirelli tyres on the Kawasaki ZX6R. So Toby Summers in full pursuit, also out there on the ZX6R Avalon Middle, listed in the program as being from Arriva, north of Auckland, but of course now making Canterbury a home courtesy of MTF Finance, Kawasaki New Zealand, Aussie Performance, Spectrum Motorcycles, Carl Cox in the Higher Sun Cup. So here we go in racing. Great to see out there. And Spider, any changes?
Yeah, Jake Lewis has just lumped. Oh, sorry, Spider, cut you off there. Jake Lewis has just jumped forward to the front. I'm looking out the window here and I can see Jake's mum, Tanya, biting her nails on the bank looking. So, Jake's in Steckenshill, sorry.
Almost, yeah, no, good spotting there, but what happened is Jake Lewis closed up on the hairpin there, but didn't quite make it stick, so we've got two bikes fighting it out for front, the Budget Motorcycle Spares Triumphs there, and a massive battle going on. Toby Summers has got ahead of David Hall there, so these guys are still battling it, and of course Avalon Biddle on the MTF, the beautiful yellow bike, the other Kawasaki 600, MTF Finance sponsored machine, and Rogan Chandler on the 15, and of course Ashton Hughes is still on that group of people, so that's 2, 4, 6, 7 of the leaders there. Bit of a lonely ride for Jacob Stroud there in 8th, but hey, he was in 10th a couple of laps ago, so he's moved up to 8th.
Jake Lewis posting the fastest lap of the race so far, and I'm going to say probably the fastest lap of the weekend. I think I've seen out of Supersport low 32s. I don't think we've got that fast this weekend. The record being set by Damon Rees, who's actually not riding. Last year he posted a 31 flat, was just an outstanding lap. I don't know if that'll get beaten for a long time. But
that weekend we saw him and Shane Richardson lap record after lap record. There was still a battle the year. They swapped and swapped, and there was still a battle over the start-finish line where they matched to the thousandths of a second, because unless you go faster, it's not a lap record. So it's the person who said it the first, but it was matched to 1,000ths of a second, I'm sure. The same thousandths of a second, so no lap records necessary here. We got to change the position.
Having a big loss. And he's done it. It's a beautiful pass there because you have to box the other person in. If you run in too deep and miss the apex, they'll go run the outside of you on the next left-hander. So a textbook block pass from a very experienced and talented young rider from Canterbury, Jake Lewis.
And remembering this racing on now, the rest of the afternoon, these are all the GP races as well, so there's not just the 25 points at stake to add to their overall 12 races that they'll be doing in the 3 races per round over the 4 rounds of the championship, but the fact that this is our GP title that we have here in New Zealand. The TT title will be contested in the North Island at the Hampton Downs circuit as well, but our Grand Prix titles on the line right here and right now for the remaining races here this afternoon, as we'll have trackside podiums, and you'll be able to see these riders in person with some trackside interviews immediately after racing.
I wonder how, when he crossed the stripe here, I wonder how close or how fast Toby's going. To me, it looks like he's closed the gap, and I think he'll be the fastest bike on track when they cross the line. I stand to be corrected, but we'll see in a brief moment when the timing screen rolls over. Oh, it's tight as ever into turn 1 there. What are you thinking there? I can see it looking attentively, Neil.
No, in fact, just what I was looking at there at the moment is what you're talking about with that Toby Summers. Now, this is a good opportunity to see what Toby's made of. Remembering, of course, he's been a 600 rider and a very good one at that. Then he went to Superbikes for a couple of years and, of course, was contesting in that Supersport class where he finished runner-up for as well. That class is gone now because our Superbike class has come back to a more standard class, so there's not a place for the Super Stock, I should call it, as we had it. This is now Supersport, and he's come back into the 600 class and very contentious class now, and for the fact that he's just maturing all the time with this racing, courtesy of Mad Love Media, Carl Cox Motorsport, Spectrum Motorcycles, R&R Power Sport. This man is making it happen, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head there, Seth, with a opportunity to say, watch for that man. Back in 3rd place, and he's the North Islander, putting the thorn amongst those 2 beautiful South Islanders.
Yeah, I think the Southern boys will know that they need to do the damage early in the championship while they're down south, because when they go north, Toby is going to be a hard man to beat, and he was the fastest bike on track last lap, so be interesting to see. He seems to struggle out of the dipper here, kind of loses a bike length or 2, but when he comes to putting it on the front straight, he seems to have a way of hooking it up. So maybe it's that left kink, or maybe it's just an illusion, but yeah, the last lap, definitely Toby Summers faster than James and Jake. Jake was a 32.9, James on a 33.5, and then Toby on a 32.6. So closing in.
All right, back to this battle for 4th, 5th, and 11.6 still is David Hall, but he's been hunted down by Avalon Biddle. But Rogan Chandler's made 3 or 4 attempts in the last lap to get through, out round the hairpin, Fulton Hogan corner, and round that big Christchurch, or into the big Christchurch Casino carousel there. So Rogan Chandler on the charge. You'll see them over the back, those group of 3, 4th, 5th and 6th, the Icon corner. They spread out a bit there and go into the hairpin. There it is, Avalon Biddle up on the inside of David Hall, and does bring Rogan Chandler through there. So David Hall doesn't give up, mate. He's almost swapping paint there. And we see Ashton Hughes round the hairpin there on the 92 Triumph, sponsored by Hughes Motors in Greymouth and Dallas Photographers. So Ashton Hughes, hard to start, hard on the charge to start, but dropping off the pace a little bit. He'll get there, he's got the skills, he's got the bike.
What do you think, Neil? Do you think we're going to see a James Hoogie find his rhythm and do this damage at the end of the race, or do you think Jake's found a few things and he's got enough for him? To me, it looks like I can't decide whether James is just pacing himself or whether they're both at the ragged edge and Jake's just got a wee bit much at the moment.
So I did find out about, sorry, you asked a question, Neil.
No, carry on.
I did find out about the tyre allocation. They get 3 rear tyres and 2 fronts. But what they qualify on, they must start the first race on. So it is a bit of a tyre game and all that. All that goes out of the window when it's a wet race. But you've got to bide your time and work out, do you have your new tyres to the last race, the New Zealand Grand Prix tyre, which is also, of course, a national championship points around here for the New Zealand Superbike Championship.
And this is an 18 lapper as well, Spider. So if there was a race where it puts all the pressure on the tyre, this has got to be the one. So the 18 lappers, and I think that's what it's going to be. So quite often in answering Seth's question, it's who's the more aggressive out there. And I get the idea that, of course, to stay in front, James is putting a little bit more pressure on. I see him having more excess tyre wear than, in fact, Jake Lewis can do. And I think Jake is ready to pounce, but he'll do that at about the number 16 mark. So
the battle for 4th is just heating up. We've got Rogan Chandler and Avalon Biddle scrapping it, and have had a change of position at the hairpin, which is, I think, maybe the battle of the race at the moment. If you look around the last 3 or 4 laps that's been going on out the front, it's just a bit of follow the leader. You've got your Jake Lewis at the front, James just a 10th slower in the last, no, 10th faster, sorry, in the last lap. That's just going back and forward, and then Toby trying. I think Toby's kind of got a bit more pace, but he's on the ragged edge, he's making a few mistakes, so you see him come forward and then he slips back a couple of tenths. So it'll be interesting to see in the closing stage of this race who has more tyre and who has more pace.
Now, back to answer our question again, Seth, I think that's not the right move for Jake to be doing at the moment. I think he would have been better off to do the Andrew Stroud and just push and push and push and wait for his opportunity to pounce, because he'd be a better rider later in the race. So I think he's gone too early. That's my copy there.
The last couple of races you've seen James just have the pace. He's kind of broken away, found his rhythm, and they've struggled to catch him. But it looked like he was trying to do the same thing early, and Jake was saying not today. He kind of tracked them down and put it in front of him, and I think maybe it is the best way to beat James, is to upset his rhythm, get in front of him, make him have to work for it, make him think, as opposed to letting him have clear track. Because if you give James Hoogie clear track for a couple of laps, I'm going to say it's game over. Back in 3rd place, still Toby, and looking at the timing screen, he's just 2 tenths slower, or 2 tenths slower than Jake. So I mean, than James. Sorry. So be interesting to see if he can find that couple of tenths, or if he's just going to kind of eke away. It looks like those front boys are just creeping away on him. Lap traffic coming into play here, unfortunately, at Fulton Hogan. Oh, it didn't hold him up too much, so just as tight as it was before. But it's unfortunate that happens sometimes.
All right, let's look through the entire field. Jake Lewis, James Hoogenboozem, Toby Summers, Rogan Chandler in 4th, Avalon Biddle on the 21 machine in 5th spot. We're followed by David Hall, Ashton Hughes from Greymouth, Jacob Stroud there on the beautiful Helicraft MB Augusta there in 8th spot, Peter Allison, and we got Dale Finch, the first of the Supersport 600B classes. These are the other guys with maybe outspec bikes. Daryl Grayson, Jeremy Cordigast, Hayden Scorrens, Tom Langridge, Richard Lockies, and Philip Dittmer, John Crawford and Simon Perry, both DNFers. Jeremy Cordigast had a big crash down at Levels a month ago, I think. I'm sure I was dealing with his partner because he was hospitalised overnight, so good to see him come back. What do these guys do to do this?
I tell you, one of my favourites in this field is a man by the name of Hayden Scorrens from Dunedin. Such a really nice guy. I used to race a motard quite successfully down south, and I saw his Facebook post yesterday. He was just stoked to get into the 30s. So as a 39, it's the first time he got a 600, a personal best, which is what this championship's all about. If you're not at the front, if you're not in the hunt for the championship, you still go race at New Zealand Superbike, race at that top level, and you always always seem to find the personal best, the best conditions, someone to tow you along. Everyone gets their best results here. It's just the nature of the beast in the National Championship.
It's like before, when you're at another group, there's 4 of you fighting it out, and you're back in the sort of the 6, 7, 8 and 9 placing. Who knows that there's 5 in front of you, and who cares about it? All there is a bunch of you racing, and you come away to beat those mates that have just beaten you in the previous race. So it's like you've just won your own Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's right. The worst racing is when you're on your own. I feel sorry for Jake Stroud, wherever he was before, just hanging out lonesome, cutting laps, where you look at front, there's a battle, and Toby's got someone to look at, and then you go back to the battle for 4th, and then, you know, someone to tag on to someone. But riding around in your lonesome, especially for 18 laps, can be a pretty tedious task out here. So unfortunately for those guys.
All right, Spider's going to do an update for us. He's been watching the screen, he's been watching those times.
I've been watching the race between Rogan Chandler, number 15, and 21, Avalon Biddle. This Avalon's still not given up. Rogan's in the front. They're going into the dipper at the moment. The blue Yamaha, the very, very bright yellow Kawasaki there, and of course Avalon is very, very fit, but she's still got to fight this young Rogan, both approximately the same age. And as we see the 2 lead bikes coming through the start-finish line, still Jake Lewis in the front, followed by James Hugenbosom, Toby Summers. Can he reel them in? We're waiting. Yep, the timing screen's there. All present and correct in front of us. We're just waiting for the gap there to come through. The gap was 0.2 of a second, and then 2 seconds back for Toby.
Toby's cutting at virtually the same lap time.
Faster he's about the same rate, yeah. 132.990, 133.051, and 133.191. So yeah, a second quicker than Jake Lewis out in the front.
Yeah, I think if I think he's trying to say a tenth slower. But I think if that gap wasn't there, you'll find that Toby will be virtually the same speed, if not slightly quicker. At the moment, he's having to cut his own air. 2 bikes are always going to be quicker than 1 around here. So be interesting to see if he can close that gap. 9 laps to go. Sorry, 8 laps to go. But I kind of wonder what's going on here. Is James playing the waiting game, or are they both at the limit? What do you think there, Neil?
Well, I tell you what, Toby's too far away to capitalise yet. He's got to get closer. So if there's, because the other thing, of course, the factor is only one of them could have a missed gear, or just both of them are on a collision course and don't know it, as they apex a corner or whatever, if somebody's just overshot and gone right onto the grass there. Was that purpose? I think they all of a sudden realised those other guys were behind, and they just pulled right over there. They'll join back into the track now.
It was Daryl Gresham, and Jake just kind of, he had to do it. If you're battling for the win and you come across lap traffic, you just have to dive up the inside and get it done. And it's a little harsh sometimes on some lap riders, but if you don't and the other rider capitalises, you kick yourself. So I think Jake's done the right thing there. Unfortunately for Daryl, who got a bit of a fright, but he seems to have recovered nicely, so I think all's fair in love and war and racing.
We're also talking about tactics in there. You know, at the end of the day, you can have all these tactics up the sleeve, but if something happens during a race and a red flag comes out, that is real position. It might be only half points. It might be full points if the race is run for 65% of its duration, but if you're in front, then you take the win. So race tactics and all that, they've still got the back of their mind. Not trying to wish any bad luck on anyone. And of course, what we've also got now, and we're seeing it again, is lappers to come across. And that can play in both people's hands. It can be good, it can be bad. It can balk both people, but it also lets one get it, maybe let one get a bit of a break. So it's all race tactics, but I think these guys are just really going balls out. With Toby Summers there in 3rd place. Here we go, coming across a lapper.
It's the worst place to catch a lapper too. I mean, that combination of corners, that right, left, right, it's just such a tricky place to get right. And if you throw a lapper in the middle, it's very easy for the rear rider to get an advantage, because on the front rider, there's really only a narrow race line, which is, you know, quicker. So the rear rider definitely gets a big hand up. Not that James needed any help, because he was already knocking right on the door. So be interesting to see if he can capitalise and make that into a manoeuvre. He's right on the back of Jake when they come into the dipper here. They're very evenly matched, obviously being teammates in the same bike, so makes for spectacular racing.
That was where I was just going to come in. So you could obviously say, could Jake hop on James's bike and vice versa? When Dennis is working on him, he's not giving advantage to anyone, and that's why the bikes are just so identical. I think they could swap over at half time and still compete and succeed in their racing.
I disagree. I think you're going to find someone's got spring preferences. Maybe James likes a lighter spring with more oil, which maybe gives you a little more compliance for a roll through, or a little less braking. But the riders will have their own slight preferences. Even if they're the same weight, you'll find some riders will run big springs, some will run little springs. A lot of the riding style and body position comes into play with the way you set up the bike. So I know of many occasions where riders of similar team, on the same team and similar height and weight, have swapped bikes and gone, oh, how do you ride that thing? That's horrific. And yet they jump back on their own bike and they're virtually the same speed.
And of course there's their lucky charm going in, their lucky little bit, and that's their numbers. as long as I've known James Hugenbosom, he's running 85, and Jake Lewis runs the number 29, which is father's number years ago. Now, I don't know whether that's something that got passed from father to son, or when Jake Lewis started riding motorbikes and racing motorbikes, the old man was too tight to make a new number. I know what it is, but it's just one of those stories. But it's great to see somebody respecting the heritage in their family and grabbing number 29 and taking it to the racetrack and doing so well.
Yeah, my number's always been number 11 because it's the easiest to make out of 2 bits of tape, speaking of racing on a budget, so cheeky one.
I just thought it was easy because when you finally do win that championship, you've only got to peel one number on, it's ready to go for the next year.
Either that or when it's upside down, it's still the same.
Right, okay, good on you. Yeah, we've seen that a few times too. Let's not go there. Here we go. Yes, indeed, proud to get our sponsors on board, including Blacktop Brown, this fantastic new asphalt chip seal, bandaging potholes, trenching, new and repaired driveways. Blacktop Brown, yes, indeed, your tar sealing experts, patching it up, fixing it up, and making it better on 03 323 4000. Blacktop Brown, all one word, .co.nz. They're your small sealing specialists covering all of Canterbury.
How often do you think Al Hergy, James Hergy and Jake Lewis have gone into turn 1 here? I mean, if you had a clicker on every time they've done it, they're hammer and tong at the moment. James had a big look around the outside at 1 but didn't get it done. I'd say the 3 of them would be in the close to 10,000 between the 3 of them. Times they've gone into turn 1, if you think of all the laps they've ever done here, it's a lot of laps. That's why the locals, if you will, have got such an advantage over Toby. That's why they have to get the damage over him, because when they go north and they take Toby to Taupo, she's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, it is indeed, but I tell you what, see, Toby's, I'm wondering whether he's all of a sudden just thinking about that. Well, to finish first you've got to finish in 3rd place, and he's reasonable distance in front of David Hall in that 4th place, so I think he's just saying, I'm there, I'm locked and loaded.
I think you'll find that's Rogan Chandler.
My apologies.
Had a cheeky glance back to Avalon Biddle, and then it looks like David must have had an off-track excursion. For him to be that far back, in my mind, he's had a wee mistake, because he's not someone that just doesn't have the pace.
Right, here we go. See, look at the lapper. The lapper right there in front of these two guys. Looking for the line coming down through the dipper. Not the kind of place where you want a lapper. In fact, if ever there was an opportunity for James to use it, he might want to use it to his advantage. Look at that. They're going to peel around the outside of the lapper. The lapper did the right thing then, holding their line through the tight stuff, but then moved across when the track opened up as we come out of the Rock FM sweeper and ready to rock on. Another lap of Blacktop Brown supported New Zealand 600, excuse me, 600cc championship racing. And on board and on fire at the moment. Oh, 4 on 5, 14 down and 4 to go, doing our maths for an 18-lapper and the New Zealand Grand Prix.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this front two. I mean, how much more can you say? We're going to have to start talking about what underwear they're wearing or what they had for breakfast. We're kind of running out of things to say, but this fight is so good. Jake Lewis seems to be strongest into turn 1 and into the hairpin, and then James has got his corner speed. Oh, just as I say that, look at that. Around the outside. Has he got it done? Oh, he's too deep. Can he get the drive out? He's just trying everywhere, which is unusual for James. James is such a measured, collected kind of rider. Doesn't make mistakes. He's very measured. So interesting to see him having a nudge. He had another look there into the Fulton Hogan right-hander. So I kind of wonder if he's worked out a way around Jake, or if he's just in a bit of like, I need to get through, I've got more pace panic mode. So it'll be interesting to see how the closing stages of this race work out. Who's got more tyre, who's got more pace, and who catches a lap riders right in the wrong place. We've got a lap rider, please stay off. Oh, no, well
done, well done. Whoever that was, take a bow. That was quality work indeed. Those kind of riders should be congratulated by those that are more accomplished in the field. And look at the punch out of the corner. James, that was absolutely beautiful. Love that line as he got out of the dipper. That's it, look at that. He's much closer on the Rock FM sweeper than he was this time a lap ago. That had been his Achilles heel, and he's now starting to put more aggression into his racing and making it count where it needs to as he comes along the straight. Look at that from Jake, moving right over, saying you're not going to get a slipstream advantage from him. What did the pit board say? Here we go. Look at that.
Tim MacArthur.
What is he going to do?
Textbook Tim MacArthur line. Run it deep, do all your braking in a straight line. 3 laps to go, and it's just as tight as it's ever been. There's no margin and no position. Nearly said no position change, and there nearly was, so maybe commentators curse.
All right, this is the new straight down there. We call it Liquid Molly. Liquid Molly Oil's proud to be big-time new sponsors here at the Mike Perra Motorsport Park. So the Liquid Molly Oil straight down out of ICOM used to be called Pothole, now down to Euromark. Used to be called Celtic Cams, I think, from Kelford Cams. Kelford Cams down there.
Used to be called Pothole, and I think a lot of the old-timers, old hands, and people who have been here for years still probably call ICOM Corner Pothole. I heard my close friend behind me here, Sam Davison, come over before and said, I had a big moment through Pothole. I've had the same moment there, except mine resulted in a broken ankle, so I'd rather have it his way around. But Yeah, new sponsors for the same track. It's pretty cool to see people putting money back into the sport, back into this beautiful circuit that we have here in
And
Christchurch.
of course, the biggest of them all was the renaming out of Powerbuilt to Mike Pero himself. So fantastic. And I love the new Mike Pero ad on TV with him going from house to house in the real estate ad of him riding an adventure motorcycle. So I think that looks real cool. And then he turns up to congratulate and thank somebody for buying a Mike Pero property. So that's fantastic to see his continuation of supporting motorsport, because after all, he's been here on 2 wheels and he wasn't bad in 4 wheels either.
Yeah, sounds like he's going to be here later on today. He's just been out for one of those rides on those bikes that don't have an engine. I find them a bit pointless. The one where you have to like move your legs around and round in circles and all that. Wasting time, if you ask me. Wasting time.
God blimey.
Righty-ho, James Hugenbosom, 0.1 of a second. Doesn't sound like very much, but that's all you need. He's spending a lot of time in the back here. He would have probably sized up where to pass other local Cantabrian Jake Lewis there on the 29 machine, but 0.1 of a second quicker, and there's only a bike length in it between them. What a great advert. There he is, trying up on the outside of the hairpin.
Looks. Can he get it stopped? Can he get? He's in too deep again. Can he square it up? Oh,
didn't lose anything, didn't gain anything, pulls the front wheel up. What a great advert for Budget Motorcycles. This is a team that at nights and during the day they prepare these bikes. You can go and get work done on these bikes, your own bikes, sorry, down at Budget Motorcycles in Christchurch. Both bikes leading the Supersport 600 race and doing it on fire. 675ccs, because they are 3 cylinders. They are evenly matched with the 600 4 cylinders, but of course right now those 600 4 cylinders are off into the distance. Triumph leading the classes here and doing it so domineering this weekend. Is dominating or domineering? I don't care. They're doing it so damn well.
I tell you what, we've been so focused on the battle for the lead that we've kind of missed the point. We've got Avalon, Biddle, Rogan, Chandler showdown going on here for 4th place as they come through the right hand. And Avalon, the last couple of races kind of dropped off towards the end. It looks like we're going to get a white flag, so...
That last lap, she was 0.7 quicker. That's probably due to a lapper, or as Rogan made a mistake there. But at the end of the day, she's closed up that battle as they're coming out of the dipper. Rogan Chandler on the Yamaha, the number 15 bike. Avalon Biddle on the bright yellow.
James.
MGF, number 21. They're coming around the Rock FM as we see the 2 lead bikes disappear off the end of the front straight.
No.
James had the big look up the inside and looked like he had it done. And from here, it's pretty hard to tell. The boys are saying that Jake's in front, but I'm going with James's, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that's James out front with the red helmet and behind of Jake Lewis. James has been deep on the brakes the last few laps, but has he got enough? Yep, yes. James has held him off. Now, into this right-hander, this one here with Fulton Hogan in front of it, is Jake's been strong there all race. We've seen him pass there time and time again. Right now is when we have to make him move. And he's run out of momentum. So we'll see. Right now, I'll be plotting a maneuver, trying to work out where he's going to get it done, where he's going to gain the momentum to get it done, and where he's going to actually make the move. There's only a couple of spots left here. There's the left-hander of Scope, and I would pick that as the corner to do it. Get your momentum here through the right, and then jam it up the inside on the left. Can he do it?
And we're coming across the back market there. That back market goes through Scope. This is going to come happening, I think, just out of the dipper there, or maybe on the big sweep of the 2 lead bikes. James Hugenbosom on 85, Jacob Lewis on 29 there, coming out of the dipper. No, I don't think that black... Oh, yeah, anyway, the back mark is going to be interesting. Toby Summers a lonely 3rd place, but Avalon Biddle still only about 6 bike lengths behind Rogan Chandler there for 4 and 5th. They come onto the front straight. The checkered flag awaits. It's the 2 Budget Motorcycles, Underground Brown sponsored bikes. It's a drag to the line. It is James Hugen, followed by Lewis.
The 3-peat for James Hugie, the trifecta of wins, which 2 years ago he nearly pulled this off, but his brother pipped him in the last one. So unfortunate, but making history here. James, this might be his first Grand Prix. I'm not sure. I'm just busy picking Neil's brains. I'm not sure if he's won a Pro Twin Grand Prix before or not. Don't know. Hard to know. They're busy shaking hands over the back. Good sportsmanship. Now, if I'll just cut to the finishing order, we've got James Hugie, Jake Lewis, Toby Summers in a lonely 3rd place, 12 seconds behind. Rogan Chandler with Avalon Biddle, 0.6 of a second behind. Then David Hall, nearly a lap down. Ashton Hughes, Jacob Stroud, Peter Ellison, Daryl Gresham, Jeremy Cordegas, Hayden Scrunch, Tom Langridge, Richard Lockhees, Philip Ditmere, Dale Finch, and unfortunately the DNFs of John Crawford and Simon Perry.